Buddhism is a religion based on the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha was born with the name Siddhartha Gautama and lived from around 563 to 483 BCE, before the Common Era. He became enlightened, which means that he found a way to free himself from what is known as the cycle of desire and suffering, and taught his followers to achieve the same. There is a sect of Buddhism called Zen. It is considered to be a school of abstract meditation that had a strong influence on art. But what is Zen? What is its relation to Buddhism? How does it influence art? Very little of historical literature related to Zen has been translated, as it was written in a very early form of Chinese. When Buddhism reached China, it first appeared in two different forms. One was called the Lesser Vehicle, and the other the Greater Vehicle. The Lesser Vehicle, also known as Primitive Buddhism, included genuine scriptures, which preserved the recorded words originally spoken by Shakyamuni. The ordinary participant of this religion did not hope to become a Buddha. Buddhas were considered extremely rare. In the Zen world, a participant or believer only aspired to become an arhat, which is another name for an ascetic ripe for annihilation. An arhat refers to a person who is about to escape from the wheel of reincarnation, whose current incarnation is an entryway to nirvana. To these believers, the Buddha gave no assistance. He is what children in their games call home, and his followers had to follow or long for him as well as they could. The followers who found the religion too awkward invented another path, which became known as Mahayana, the Greater Vehicle. Placing their own teachings into the words of Shakyamuni, they created extremely long, spontaneous sermons that were supposedly preached by the Buddha himself in his second period. These sermons were delivered to people who were open to experiencing or comprehending the whole truth. The outstanding feature of this new Buddhism was the introduction and involvement of the compassionate bodhisattvas, seen as enlightened believers, who, though actually qualified for Buddhahood, voluntarily abandoned it in order to help mankind. The first Buddhist books to reach China grew out of the Lesser Vehicle, but the Greater Vehicle, or Bodhisattva Buddhism, spread quickly and prevailed. By the 6th century AD, more than 2,000 Buddhist writings belonging to the Greater Vehicle were translated into Chinese. There were many Buddhist sects in China. The more popular were, number one, the Amidists, a form of Buddhism which appealed to the uneducated and taught that a Buddha named Amida presides over the Western paradise, where he will receive the souls of those that worship him. The idea of this paradise resembles the Christian idea of heaven, and may have originated from it. Number two, the Tendai sect, founded at the end of the 6th century. Its doctrine came from a scripture of great length called the Saddharma Pundarika Sutra. It was possibly the broadest sect, and emphasized the ethical side of Buddhism. Zen began in the year 520 AD, when a missionary from southern India arrived in Canton. His name was Bodhidharma, and it is believed that he was the younger son of an Indian prince. The reigning emperor of China was a generous patron of Buddhism. He had built monasteries, given money and food to the poor, distributed scriptures, and defended the faith. In a conversation with the Bodhidharma, the emperor learned that he had not acquired any merit by exercising his generosity. Then the emperor asked an important question: in what did true merit consist? The Bodhidharma answered that true merit consisted in the obliteration of matter through absolute knowledge, and not by external acts. When the emperor asked Bodhidharma what he was, the Bodhidharma replied, "I do not know." The Bodhidharma left behind a few dissertations. They are as follows. There is no such person as Buddha. The Absolute is immanent in every man's heart. The treasure of the heart is the only Buddha that exists. Those who seek Buddha do not find him. One thing helps: to discover the unreality of the world by contemplating the Absolute, which is at the root of one's nature. I have come from India only to teach you that Buddha is thought. Thought, thought, thought. It is hard to seek. Expanding, it covers the whole world. Shrinking, it is too small to lodge a pin. I seek the heart. I do not seek Buddha. For I have learnt to know that the outer world is empty and untenanted. The teaching of Bodhidharma was considered to transcend cultural, religious, or racial boundaries, and his words, such as thought, etc., relate to the Brahman of the Upanishads. The Brahman was considered to be the ultimate truth, an eternal consciousness that is the essence of everything in the universe. It is the self within every living being. The transition of spirituality of Bodhidharma to that of his follower is typical of religious history. An example might be the poetry of Christ, which becomes the theology of Paul. Buddha Priya first describes the different ways or methods in which Zen may be practiced, with the description of the correct position for hands, feet, head, etc. The normal position of meditation is cross-legged, and with an upright back with hands over the knees. Zen could also be practiced while walking and while lying down. A Zen master of the 7th century once initiated a poetry competition in which each monk was to epitomize, in a poem, the essence of Zen. The favorite candidate was the warden Shinsu, who sent in the following verses. The body is the trunk of the Bodhi tree. The mind is the bright mirror's stand. Scrub your mirror continually, lest the dust eclipse its brightness. Ino, as a lay brother, was not qualified to compete. Someone told him of Shinsu's quatrain. "Mine would be very different," he said, and persuaded one of the bakers to go by night and write the following poem on the monastery wall. Knowledge is not a tree. The mirror has no stand. Since nothing exists, how could dust rise and cover it? Zen is often mentioned by writers of Far Eastern art. The connection between Zen and art is significant because of the inspiration which Zen gave to the artist. Zen has provided a better comprehension of the psychological conditions under which art is produced. Art has been regarded as a kind of Zen and as an immersion into the Buddha that each of us unknowingly carries within him. Through Zen, we remove the concept of time and see the universe not split up into countless particles, but in its basic integration and union. If the artist's work is inspired with this vision of the subjective and unexceptional aspect of life, his work will be fine. But if not, they will only be simple toys, says the Zen practitioner. Chinese artists did not necessarily discover a shortcut to the production of beauty in Zen. Zen aims at the destruction of consciousness. However, art is created by an interaction of conscious and unconscious capabilities. We do not know how far the conscious and unconscious interaction can be inspired by the psychic discipline of Zen. The question of the psychology of the artist is disputed and uncertain. It may not be very important that the artist himself should have a solid design. It is very important to the artist that the public should have some impression or idea of the conditions under which art can be created. The public should have a view or understanding of the peculiarities of a part of humanity, which may always be found inconvenient and annoying. Zen has supplied this view and understanding. It is in the language of Zen that art has often been discussed in China and Japan after the 12th century. One school in particular seems to have been an important factor in the promotion of Zen art. About 1215 AD, a Zen priest named Muki came from the southwest of China to Hangzhou and rekindled a ruined monastery by the name of Rokutsuji. Muki was the first to practice the quick and joyful type of solid work that is associated with Zen. In hasty twists of ink, he attempted to quickly capture different acclaimed visions created by the madness of wine, the indifference of tea, or the bareness of absorption. Sometimes his work was intertwined and disorderly. Sometimes, as in his famous Persimmons, passion has gelled with an amazing tranquility. Unfortunately, this type of Zen art did not prosper for a long time in China, and as a result, remnants have likely not survived. But in Japan, it was a primary and important source of inspiration to the prominent painters of the 14th and 15th centuries. Zen paintings consist of two types. One, representations of flowers, birds, and animals, where the artist tried to portray himself with the object illustrated to convey or communicate its inner Buddha. These works of art were accomplished not by studying the effects of life, as the early Sung nature pieces have been, but by vigorous visualization of the subject that was to be painted. This mental picture was quickly applied to paper before the magic of absorption, samadhi, was shattered. 2. Drawings of activities in the lives of the great Zen teachers. This kind of Zen art was dramatic. It attempted to depict the characters of the people involved and to display the impressiveness of soul that was underneath the crudeness of behavior. An example of this idea would be the images of Tanka burning the image. One night, Tanka, a Zen priest, stayed as a visitor at a Buddhist monastery. There was no firewood in his cell. As the night was cold, he went into the chapel to retrieve a wooden statue of Shakyamuni, and chopping it up, used the pieces to make a warm fire. Tanka considered the idol of Buddha to be only a piece of wood. However, his resentful hosts looked at his actions with a very different perspective. The disagreement is similar to the medieval no play Sotoba Komachi by Yukio Mishima, which is about the Buddhist concept of Ichinyokan. It states that the boundaries that separate anguish and enlightenment, or right and wrong, are long-lasting and identical. The play presents a series of 5 plays with conflicting concepts, and then resolves them. There is a different element of Zen that also had a very strong effect on art. The Buddha nature is inherent not only in man, but in everything that exists, living or not. Tree, river, and stone are all parts of the great invisible unity. Through his Buddha nature, or universal consciousness, man possesses an intimate means of contact with nature. The songs of birds, the noise of waterfalls, the rolling of thunder, the whispering of wind in the pine trees. All these are reflections of the Absolute. One can witness the relationship of Zen with the passionate love of nature, a love that is often demonstrated in Far Eastern art and poetry. A Zen image bound in a moment of delight, or a moonlit river displayed in haziness, and a blossom is often created by the art of writing as much as painting. The Zen artist follows his passion for nature into the sentimental world of lovers. The elements and images of nature function as symbols of meaning more than artistic forms. Something similar to the mystic ideal which Zen welcomes is seen in many countries and referred to by numerous different names. However, Zen is different from other similar religions in that it allows only one method where a genuine capturing of truth can be acquired. Various forms of ritual such as prayer, fasting, and abstinence are dismissed as useless, allowing for only one single technique, that is, the method of self-hypnosis, which is a meditation that focuses on relaxation and guided imagery to maintain a mindful presence. One aspect and activity of Zen is tea drinking. Tea ceremonies in monasteries were a part of daily life and a detailed ritual, which offered a pattern of structure to days that didn't otherwise offer a great deal of constructive activity. There are descriptions of each ceremony, such as the commencement of beginners, celebration of birth and death, anniversaries of the patriarchs, procedure in cases of sickness, madness, disobedience, and disappearance or death of monks, selection and inauguration of abbots, and lectures, liturgies, and activity periods that represented Zen instruction. After the 15th century, China was in decline, and the Zen monasteries appeared similar to those of popular, idol-worshipping Buddhism. However, in Japan, Zen has continued to be somewhat distinct and is now the favorite religion of the educated classes. The Buddha consciousness of Zen is very closely connected to the universal consciousness. It lies beneath the personal consciousness and contains the idea that all beings and the universe share a basic nature. Universal consciousness converts will often use a kind of applied Zen. As many Japanese have done, they will not attempt to spend their days in complete samadhi. They will participate for the sake of rest or consoling into the deeper aspects of the soul and not rely simply on traditional Eastern self-hypnosis. It is difficult to know if particular heightened states of mind are more valuable than our ordinary consciousness. However, an experience that is similar to samadhi and offers a strong feeling of contact with a unity more real than the average involvement of activities is not uncommon. The creative artist can share in such a heightened unity when the visible world seems or becomes exquisitely real, with the opportunity and incentive to create something meaningful. to seek a repetition of spiritual experiences, either by contemplating the navel and the tip of the nose, or by practicing art, can offer positive ecstasies. But how do we know? Zen, said Bodhidharma, cannot be described in words.